Okay, hello grade 11s. In this video I'm going to show you how to enter data onto the TI-83 calculator. And again, the reason for this is because sometimes we'll be given a table of values, let's say like this one right here, and we can't just look at this and get our equation from it. One thing that you might think is you look at this and you will think, okay, well, maybe this right here would be my initial value. And certainly once we've done our equation, we'll probably find that our initial value is pretty close to that. But the problem with real world data is it doesn't always go up by the same amount. And if you took the time to divide 25.8 by 16.5 and then continue that all the way through the table, you'd find that these ratios aren't the same all the time. And essentially what we're going to end up doing is finding the equation of a curve that fits the points the best. And that equation is going to allow us to make predictions into the future. So in this case, we're looking at the number of cell phone subscriptions in Africa between 2000 and 2011. You can see here that the number of subscriptions is in the millions. So these are fairly large numbers that we're talking about. And the other thing that you'll notice is that the years start at 2000 to 2011. And basically what you should notice is that they don't start at 0. And that's a very important part. And in fact, that's where we're going to start. So whenever you're dealing with data that's in years, the first thing that you're going to do is assign a number to each year starting at 0. Now in this case, the data goes up by 1 year each time, so that makes life fairly simple. This will just be 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. until you get down to 11. But notice we do start at 0 because this is what's going to allow the program to estimate our initial value and probably get it close to this 16.5 here. I should also mention that if the years didn't go up by 1 each time, let's say it was 2000 and then 2002, we would have to skip this 1 and everything would just be in terms of this initial year here. Again, in this case, the data goes up nicely, so this isn't a problem for us. So now that we've taken the time to identify what each of our years is going to be, we're going to actually enter the data into the calculator. So follow my mouse over to the calculator, which should be the same as yours, and you're going to hit the stat button. And the first thing you're going to see is edit. And really all we're going to do is we're going to hit enter, and we're going to edit the stats that we have. You'll see 3 columns. There are actually more columns available, but we're only going to actually work with 2. And the important thing here is that L1 is going to represent our first column, our independent variable, and often you will know this as the X. And the second column, the L2 column, over here on the calculator, will go with the second column in our data table. And again, in terms of what we usually work with, this is going to represent our Y values. Okay, so to enter the data, we're in the table here, and we're just going to start by entering all of the data into the first column. And for us, it's going to be the year, and again, we start at 0. So in this case, we're going to run from 0 all the way to 11. So 0 on the calculator, and you go all the way to 11. So I'm going to pause, do that, and then I'll play it again so that you can see where I ended up. All right, so I've entered all my data, and you'll see that I'm at the bottom of the column here, and I've got 11. And if I want to enter them into L2, I can just click this over button here, click this arrow, and I'm off and running. So now I want to enter all of the data for the second column, and so that starts with 16.5. And to get down to the next cell, you hit enter, and then it's 25.8. Again, you hit enter, and you continue to enter this until you've got to the bottom of the table. Okay, so I paused and I entered the data. So if I get ahead of you, just pause the video, of course, and then you can pick it up. So here's all my data entered. Again, pause it, enter your data, and then you can come back to me. And now I'm just going to scroll up, and I'm just going to take a look at the data and make sure that everything checks out. You can see here it says 10 L2 is the 10th row. It's 465.5, and then I can look here and see the matching value. So I would just scroll up and double check on each of my values to make sure. So I see here 4 is with 92.3. I go over here, 4 is with 92.3. So I know that everything is okay all the way to the top. Okay, so I'm done entering the data, so I don't need to be at the table anymore, so I'm going to hit second, and then I'm going to hit quit, and you're back where you started at this empty screen. It looks like you've done nothing, but you do have a whole lot of data entered into the background. So that is how you enter all of the data. And now I'm going to show you how to actually take a look at it to see what this trend looks like. And again, this is a nice way to make sure that everything was done correctly. So just be sure that if you haven't yet, you take the time on your cheat sheet to write down a little bit of explanation to yourself about how to enter data into these calculators. So you can pause it, go back, and whenever you're ready to continue, just come on back to where we are. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how to actually graph this data. It's a pretty quick process. You can see in yellow where my mouse is here, it says stat plot. So to access that yellow, we hit second, and then I'm going to click the Y equals button, and you're going to see a screen like this. All you need to do here, you see plot 1 is off, we want to turn it on. So we hit enter, and then we hit enter again, and that's all we have to do. So once you've done that, you can again just quit, you hit second, and then you hit quit. Okay, so we've now turned on that stat plot, which means that when we go to graph in the calculator, we should see everything that we've done. So we move the mouse up here, or in your case, you just push the graph button with your finger, and you'll see something like this. The problem is that you won't actually see any of your data. And the reason is because these axes run from 0 to 10, up to 10 on Y, negative 10, and negative 10. If you look at our values, well, they're all bigger than 10. So this is a problem for us. So there's a few ways to solve the problem, but I'm going to show you the easiest way. We hit zoom, so you push the zoom button, and you're going to scroll down until you see zoom stat. And all this is going to do is it's going to zoom in on your stats. So it's going to zoom in on all the data on your table, so you hit enter, and just like that, you can see all the data you plotted. Now this is a nice thing to do to check to make sure your data is entered correctly, because if I missed a decimal place, for example, this last value should be 648.4. If I accidentally typed in 64.8 or something, it'll be way down here, and I know something is wrong. So this just shows us in general what our data looks like, and obviously you can see that there is a bit of an exponential trend here, right? This data is increasing over time, but I would think that it might increase a little bit faster at the end, but that's okay. We're going to take a look in the next video about what happens when we try to actually fit an exponential equation to this data. So don't clear anything, don't turn your calculator off. For now, just hit second and then quit. And your data should still be stored and your graph should still be available, and you'll be ready for the next video.